Hello, everybody. So nice to see you again. We're still busy with data handling. And last time we interpreted data. Today we're going to analyze data critically by answering questions. Right. Now, what do we mean by analyzing data? When we analyze data, we focus on what the data means and what it tells us about a particular situation. But we need to be aware that data can sometimes be manipulated and misrepresented. And I'm going to explain this to you now. When that happens, we say that statistics show bias when they do not represent a situation fairly and honestly. So what is bias again? Bias means prejudice or unfairness. Let's look at a few examples. Right. So Thandi and Tabu both interviewed some, and that I think is important, some of the learners in their class to find out how they like to spend their leisure time. They asked each person to choose one of the following. So relaxing with family, relaxing with friends, playing or watching sport, or doing something creative. And let's look at the pie chart. They each summarized their findings in a pie chart, and their pie charts are shown here. So this is Thandi's pie chart, and this is Tabu's pie chart. Now, what can we read from this? What can we find out from this? That in Tabu's case, the people that she interviewed like sport the most. You can see it's almost a right angle. Friends, and then the rest is divided then between being creative or spend time with their family. If you look at Thandi's pie chart, it's about a third with friends, then about 90% with family, and the rest then a little bit more creative, and the smallest chunk spend time on sport. So what they actually interviewed learners in the same class, but they got different answers. So what can we work out from this? So from the pie chart, it is likely that Thandi and Tabu interviewed different groups of people. They probably interviewed their own group of friends, and they did not choose samples that were representative of the whole class. Remember, in one of the previous lessons, we discussed that your data must be representative. So one of the main differences is that Thandi's group is more sociable than Tabu's group, while Tabu's group is more interested in sport. Can you see? More sociable and more interested in sport. Now, if you look at this, can you see any other differences? Right, we can say that Thandi's group spend more time with their family, they're a little bit more creative, and they spend less time on sport. And on Tabu's side, they also, apart from sport, they're very sociable, and the rest of them split their time between being creative and spending time with their family. But the difference here is that their samples were not representative. Let's look at another example. Mrs. Ogiba charted the masses of the learners in her class. She drew 2 histograms of this data. Now here you see she grouped them at the bottom, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, and 51 to 60. And in this histogram, she spread it out more. She's got like 36 to 40, 41 to 45 in smaller categories. Now, what is the main difference between the 2 histograms? And they ask us, do the histograms show the same data? And they ask us to write a few sentences to motivate our answer. And they ask us to look carefully at all the information on both histograms to answer the question. And then finally, they ask us, oh, there's a mistake, which histogram is more useful, and to give a reason for our answer. Now, I want you to pause and work this out for yourself, and then I see you with the answers. Now, first of all, what is the difference? We discussed this already. She grouped the answers differently. Then they ask us, do the histograms show the same data? Write a few sentences. Now, if we look at this, we can see two learners fall in the category 31 to 40. In this, I think the same learners are indicated in this one, 36 to 40. So now we can actually work out that there are no learners between 31 and 35, correct? And that most learners in this category then falls between 36 and 40. You can also then say this one is 41 and 50, and the total number of learners in this category is 24. And if you look on this one, she split it in two. And here we've got like 5 learners, and here we've got like 19 learners. So these two represents this one. And the same on this side, 51 to 60, we've got like 19 learners. And if you look at this side, we've got 16 here, and we've got about 3 here. So these two also represent the 19. So yes, if we have to answer this question, everything is included in these two histograms, but which one then do you think is more useful? And you can give a reason for your answer. I think the second histogram is more useful because the data has been broken down into smaller intervals and it gives us more detail. Do you agree? So now we can say that the most of the learners fall in the 46 to 50 category, and the second group is 51 to 55. So we can actually, if we have to write a report, we can give more detail. Okay, right, let's look at the third example. 50 grade 7 learners in a school were interviewed to find out how many school children lived in their households. Now here we have the graphs. There's a bar graph and a pie chart. Now if you look carefully, there's the number of households on the left, the number of school children at the bottom, and here they've indicated, so like about 5 households has got 1 learner, 10 households has got 2 learners, and if you look at the same information on the pie chart, there we've got 3, 2, 1, and the 6 plus. Now let's look at the questions. What do the height of the bars in the bar graph mean? What does the number 6 plus in the pie chart mean? Why do you think a single sector 6 plus was used in the pie chart? Remember why here we've got the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Why do you think they only used a 6 plus? The individual sectors of 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 school children would be too small to be able to see clearly on the pie chart. So that is the reason why they have decided to put them all under 6 plus. But in this one, on the bar graph, we can get information. We can say that 2 households have got 6 learners, 1 household 7, 2 households 8, 1 household 9, and 1 household 10. So which one do you think gives you more information? It's your choice, but I think perhaps the bar graph gives us more information because, as I just said, we can break down the 6 plus into smaller sections, and it tells us exactly on this side the number of households are 12. 12 households has got 3, and 10 households has got 2, so we actually get more specific answers. Right, and there are no households with no school children. Why do you think that? Why do you think there are no households with 0 school children? Because, correct. You had to ask somebody, so there must have at least been 1. Well done if you work that one out. And then, is it possible that a household could have been represented twice? Do you think it was possible? Just think about this. Ah, correct. Yes, there could have been twins, right? So a household could have been represented twice, or they could have been 2 from the same household, might be different ages, but 2 from the same household in the same grade. Well done if you could work that one out. So I've just got all my thoughts on this in this slide. So if you want to look at it later, you can do so. Right. Now, Cara is concerned about the number of cases of theft in her school. She collected data about the theft of bicycles, book bags, and items of clothing, and she represented her findings on this graph. Now let's look at this graph carefully. She's got the number of thefts, and then she said the first half of the year is then in blue, and she said the second half of the year there was a big increase in theft at the school. Now let's answer this question. On Cara's graph, it looks as though the number of thefts double. Can you see this? It looks like there was like, that is double of that, and this one is even more than double, and there's also an increase in the item of clothing. Do you think that is correct? Let's look carefully. Can you see here? She starts at 15. So in the first half of the year, there were like 16 bicycles stolen, and in the second half, 17. So only 1 extra. But on the graph, she made it look like it was double. So the same with the book bags. Can you see? Because she started at 15 and not at 1, there were like, if we look, 18 bags stolen and then 21. So she makes it look like it's more than double, and in effect, it was not. So what do we think about Cara's, the way she presented the data? Can we say that Cara is biased? Yes, because she did not reflect the data honestly. She wanted to make this look like much worse in order to make her point. Okay. So there I've got all the answers if you want to look at it again. And if you see number C, Cara's graph is biased because it does not represent the facts honestly. It creates a false impression. So remember, right at the beginning I said, if we analyze data, we must be very careful that we've got the right data to analyze. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.